Go back to work. Get children back to school. Got symptoms? Get a test. You've actually managed to get a test?
Yes.
How much of a battle?
About 4 or 5 hours. Keep clicking and refreshing.
Only Shani is not at work at Bolton Hospital, where she's a nurse, and Connor is not at school.
Yes, he got sent home yesterday.
Are you okay? Are you poorly?
Yeah, it's like cough.
As Shani found this morning, the testing centres in Bolton are strangely quiet. And yet many who try to get a test through the centralised booking portal are told there aren't any in the area. According to the local council, it shows the system for booking tests is failing.
It is worrying and it is slightly frustrating because then I had to come home from work and his dad as well, so... But it's one of them things at the moment, isn't it?
Good luck with the result. I hope you get it quickly.
Yes, so do we. Go back to school, go back to work.
With a message for the Prime Minister.
Keir wasn't able to go to work today and his children couldn't go to school because his family had to wait for their coronavirus test results despite the Prime Minister promise of results within 24 hours.
At PMQs today, it was Angela Rayner standing in for a quarantined Labour leader. In her Ashton-under-Lyne constituency, there's been an increase in the number of hospital deaths with COVID.
The Prime Minister has put his faith in Operation Moonshot, but meanwhile, on planet Earth, there was no NHS tests available for several high-infection areas, including Tameside and Oldham, in my own constituencies.
I think everybody can see just in the last few days a colossal spike in the number of people who want tests and who want to ascertain whether they've got coronavirus. And what we're trying to do now is meet that demand at record speed.
From Boris Johnson, the promise of 4 new labs and 500,000 tests a day by the end of next month. And for Angela Rayner, the issues with testing meant an opportunity for a dig at the PM's chief advisor.
And the next time a man with COVID symptoms drives from London to Durham, it'll probably be for the nearest COVID test.
With more hospitals reporting more patients seriously ill and needing treatment for COVID-19. At this hospital in Nottingham, to keep more of their staff in work rather than at home in self-isolation, they've had their own testing system running since April.
So we've tested over 2,500 staff to date and over 1,500 households to date. We've estimated, and it is only a rough estimate, but we've saved about 14,000 hours of staff time that we would have lost through sickness and people being at home because they weren't sure if they had a positive or negative COVID test.
If the testing system breaks down, then there's a knock-on effect. Because how do you know where the virus is spreading and how quickly if you don't know who has it? How do you trace people's contacts if people with COVID-19 can't get a test? Here in Bolton, they're already worried that their data, which shows them having the highest rates of infection, actually underestimates the scale of the problem. A takeaway-only rule that came in last week has seen many pubs in Bolton close. To keep schools open, could pubs be the price? After less than 2 weeks back, there are confirmed COVID cases at more than 100 schools in Greater Manchester.
Because they already missed so much from the school, like 6 months nearly.
Meaning for many parents like Tahira, there's a worry there'll be weeks of yo-yoing in and out of school. Her daughters were sent home because one had a cough.
I was just wondering, because I have just had a test done. So what, after 1 week, they have symptoms again? Are they going to keep sending back to home, you know what I mean?
Tomorrow, a new service opens to advise schools in England what to do, who to send home when children test positive. But we've been told sorting the testing system will take some weeks. Until then, back to school and back to work may not be that simple.
So what has gone so badly wrong with the testing system and can it be fixed? Our health and social care editor Victoria McDonald's in Westminster, where today Boris Johnson was facing questions from the liaison committee of MPs on this. Victoria, what did you make of it?
Well, the Prime Minister started off by talking up the system, saying that we have more tests than ever, that we are doing more testing than many other European countries. But he did actually acknowledge that, he said in his words, that people had had infuriating experiences, and he sympathised with people trying to use the testing system. Then he was very specifically asked, is there capacity?
The short answer to that is no, we don't. And we don't have enough testing capacity now because in an ideal world I would like to test absolutely everybody that wants a test.
Apart from acknowledging that the numbers are rocketing, those people trying to use the system, we still don't have any real clear answers about where the problems are. But what we are hearing in government now are talk about curfews as an option across England, perhaps pubs closing at 10 o'clock, and we've seen that happening in various localities like Bolton, for instance, as a way of trying to stem the rate of transmission, because as Clare Fallon said in her piece, if you don't know where this virus is, you can't do anything about that transmission and what's happening in the community.
Well, of course, schools in England trying as best they can to stay open. There's news tonight on more help for them, isn't there?
Look, there has been an awful lot of confusion and frustration in schools, universities and colleges who are trying to get through, they say, on helplines that aren't being answered. They're not getting clear answers about what to do if there is a suspected COVID-19 case. Well, we have just heard from the Department for Education that from tomorrow there is going to be a new service where they can report positive cases. Now, before they had to go to the local health protection team, so they're going to free them up to deal with more complex cases, perhaps those where there's more than one coronavirus case, or in special schools or in boarding schools. There will be a number, so let's hope for them to ring, so let's hope that that number rings, and there will be, more specifically, teams of advisors for these schools and colleges in England only, of course, to be able to ring and get some advice, acknowledging, I think, tonight that there has been this real confusion in these institutions.